up a dive. Feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's so I remember I share and subscribe. Join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member ride. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, monsters, and welcome to this week's episode of Monsters on the Edge here on the Untold Radio Network. We are live here in studio today. If you guys have any questions or comments throughout the show, throw them in the comments section and we'll get to them as soon as possible. A lot of cool stuff here happening. It is October. It is spooky season here. Coming up, guys, we are going to be at the Milwaukee Paracon, October 19th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Head on over to MilwaukeeParacon.com to get your free tickets. That's right, guys. It is a free event. You just have to register on the website because they want to know how many people are attending and, just make sure they got space for everyone and keep track of stuff. So free event, free tickets. Myself and fellow Untold radio host Dean Bertram is going to be there as well, as long as a lot of other great speakers and great guests. Terry Cullen is going to be there talking about anacondas. I am going to be on a panel with Allison Jornlin and T. Krulos, and I think there's somebody else on that panel, and we're going to be talking about weird stuff in Wisconsin and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be an awesome event. Hope you guys can come out and check that out. We are going to be doing our live Halloween special for Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society October 27th. That will air on our YouTube and our Facebook channel. Check that out for more information. Then coming up, guys, November 2nd, the Caps team is going to be at the Bell City Paracon in Summers, Wisconsin. All that information is on our website. Towards the end of November, we're coming to Lexington, Kentucky for CryptidCon November 23rd and 24th. That is the weekend before Thanksgiving. If you're in the area, come check us out. We are going to be back in Wisconsin November 30th in Fond du Lac for the Soul and Synergy Expo. And we just added this to our list of stuff Krampus Fest is coming up December 1st in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That is a huge outdoor, indoor vendors, food, all kinds of stuff. We are going to have a vendor booth at that as well. So again, we're heading back to Milwaukee December 1st. Check that out. You can find me at a bunch of libraries all through October. Head on over to wisconsincaps.com and click on the public events tab. And guys, make sure you're checking out Wisconsin Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Convention coming to Appleton, Wisconsin, May of 2025. All that information and more is available on our website, wisconsincaps.com. All right, guys, if you want to show your support for all things here on the Untold Radio Network, here's how.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
All right, guys, we are live in studio again today. So if you guys have any questions throughout the show, throw them in the comments section. We'll get to them as soon as we can. My guest today is Maxim Furek. He is an avid student of the paranormal. His esoteric background includes aspects of psychology, addictions, and rock journalism. He has a master's degree in communication and a bachelor's in psychology. He has written numerous rock biographies, and paranormal themed books such as Flying Saucers Esoteric, The Altered State of Ufology, and Coal Region Hoodoo, Paranormal Tales from Inside the Pit. He has been featured on numerous other things such as the Australian Mysterious Universe and has recently had a new book published by Hanger One Publishing right here on the Untold Radio Network, guys. So welcome to the show, Maxim Furek. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Barnaby, and it's Furek, but
I don't know what Doug said, so blame Doug.
Doug did that. I know. He said he was going to get me, but yeah, Maxim Furek here. And listen, I want to tell you that I'm totally, my mind is blown by all of the paranormal activity in Wisconsin. Boy, you guys live, sleep, and breathe the paranormal. That's just amazing. So you must be an epicenter. Are there a lot of sightings there? A lot of crazy things happening in the state?
We got everything. We have 3 of the UFO capitals of the world. We have the Beast of Bray Road. We have Bigfoot. We have Moth Squatch. We have Mothman in the Great Lakes. We have paranormal ships. We have tons of haunted locations and history and cannibals and you name it. Wisconsin's pretty weird.
Yeah, I'm from northeastern Pennsylvania. I'm from the coal region. So, we thought we had a lock on all that stuff, but I can see that you're certainly giving us the running. They claim that Pennsylvania is the 3rd state for the most Bigfoot sightings after Washington and California. So, there's no, we don't have a CIA or FBI epicenter to keep track of all this, so nobody really knows. But we see a lot of them, and especially in Western Pennsylvania. But it's just an amazing thing, and it's great to be on your show. And I love what Doug Hychek's doing with his Untold Radio Network. It's just amazing.
So many awesome shows here. I want to say that right off the top, it is always a pleasure for me having a guest on with such an eclectic background of just different things to talk about and stuff, because I always feel like, we talk for an hour and we could talk for all day because you have everything from paranormal to Bigfoot and UFOs and rock and all this other stuff that you've done, man. I'm really looking forward to talking with you. So.
Yeah, well, thanks. And I get that quite a bit, but I think we all wear a whole lot of different hats, and I'm sure that your story is similar to mine. You've done a whole lot of incredible things, and you've had your ups and downs and all that. And so, we're not just one thing; we're many things. We're a composite. We're a tapestry. And I just happen to be a former psychologist. I specialized in addictions, and that connection with sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I was pretty much intrigued by emerging drugs of abuse like bath salts and ecstasy, MDMA, and what was that? Methylene deoxymethamphetamine, Molly. So I mean, I studied this, I wrote about it, but there was that connection with rock and roll, that a lot of these rock and rollers like Lane Staley and Kurt Cobain were doing the drugs and they were dying. And so I was just trying to figure out why, but I never was able to figure out why, because people, unfortunately, people like Kurt Cobain get caught up in the fame, and fame is a disease. Steven Tyler of Aerosmith said that fame is like 1,000 chickens pecking at you at the same time. And to deal with the fame, people do drugs and alcohol. And I mean, they do a lot of maladaptive, self-destructive behaviors. And we see it all the time. Amy Winehouse, Elvis, Aunt Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, on and on and on. It doesn't stop. It never will. I don't think. I wish it would, but it's because of fame and where we place our celebrities and all that. But anyway, yeah, being a psychologist and a addiction specialist is in my background, and now I'm paranormal's in my foreground. So anyway, that's who I am today. But I've had a wonderful career, a successful career, and it's just crazy how I ended up being in the realm of the paranormal multiverse.
Absolutely. Well, we are here to talk about your new book, but before I get to that, before I forget, I want to bring up one question that I was thinking here. You talk about Bigfoot being the third most sightings in Pennsylvania, but one of the other things that's really popular in Pennsylvania is the pterosaurs or the thunderbirds. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. Have you heard anything about that or any sighting reports before we get into this?
Yeah, they're first of all, if you're from Pennsylvania, you're familiar with herons and eagles, so you know what they look like and how they glide. Turkey buzzards, you know how they operate. These are thunderbirds. They look leathery. They look prehistoric. They look like pterodactyls. There's several versions of them, but people are sighting them, and I don't know. I mean, we don't know what they are. It's like everything else. People see things, and we don't know what they are. These are anomalies. And, I think that the paranormal has a scientific connection, that maybe there's a way to explain this scientifically, but right now we don't know what that is. So we label this supernatural. That's what they are. But yeah, the thunderbirds are part of our landscape here in Pennsylvania. And, many people are talking about those sightings.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm always interested in getting, all my shows are about Bigfoot and stuff. So I'm always interested in asking anytime I get anybody that can, preach to anything dogman or cryptid other than Bigfoot. So I always got to get that in. But
yeah.
So you have your brand new book. You're a tons of books, a well-established author, but your new one here is from Hangar One Publishing, Untold Radio Network, Hangar One, all big umbrella here. The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. So how did you go from rock stars and drug addiction and stuff into Bigfoot? Yeah,
well, it's been a if I'm an overnight success, it's taken 9 years to reach this point. But in 2016, I had a book called Sheppton, The Myth, Miracle, and Music. And I'm a rock journalist. I was writing a book about a song called Timothy, 1971. And Timothy was the highest charting song of any of our superstars or rock stars back in northeastern Pennsylvania. It went to number 13 on Billboard, and I was doing a rock biography about Timothy, the song, connected with Sheppton, the mine disaster. And Sheppton, hang on, I know this is totally unprofessional, but Sheppton, the book, came out in 2016, and this opened up the doors to the paranormal for me. Sheppton had aspects of out-of-body experiences, after-life experiences, and near-death experiences. The miners that were trapped in the mine for 2 weeks saw humanoid creatures. They saw Pope John the 23rd. Get this, Pope John the 23rd died in June of 1963. Sheppton took place in August of 1963. The Pope was dead when they saw him in the mine. In all three of the alleged purported miracles by Pope John the 23rd, and he was canonized in 2014 as a saint because of these miracles. All three of the miracles happened after he had died. It was an example of life after death. And before we get any further into that, when we talk about miracles, the way that works is God working through an individual who is pious and devoted and a good Christian, a good human being, and God works through them to work these miracles. It's not because Pope John the 23rd was anything other than a conduit, a vessel, for God. So this is the way we explain it. But there he was, standing there for 2 weeks, just with his arms folded like this, giving them a sign of peace. And in all of the other purported miracles, that's what he did. He just stood there, giving people the sign that they were going to be saved. So anyway, 2016, Sheppton came out and the floodgates opened. I mean, I got invited to a ton of podcasts, and we had podcasts back in 2016. Not as many as after COVID, but we had podcasts. So I'm invited to podcast, and Mysterious Universe from Australia did a 90-minute piece on me and the Sheppton book, which was awesome to listen to these guys with those two Aussies with this Australian accents talking about Sheppton and cherry picking through the book. And I mean, just doing a wonderful job. And then being invited to Paracons and Fort Fest and everything else. So 2016 opened up the doors, and then, Co-Region Hoodoo, Flying Saucer Esoteric, and now Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. I mean, I've just found a demographic, an audience, and I've been well received and well accepted, as a former rock journalist. I mean, it's amazing that I just sort of stumbled into the paranormal. I really didn't go looking for it. That wasn't my intent. Love to write about rock and roll. And, but with Sheppton, it opened up another doors. And let me say this, I've been a successful rock journalist. I mean, my books do well. I'm like sort of noted in Northeastern Pennsylvania as being one of the guys or the guy. So that's kind of fun. I mean, sometimes you win through default, but still, I can always consider myself a rock journalist. And then this foray into the world, the realm of the paranormal is just something that I think really something got channeled through me, something that I don't even understand what it is. And here I am. But again, I didn't choose this path. It sort of chose me. So, go figure. I mean, you may have more of an explanation for that than I could render.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing stuff. Like, I don't know.
It's amazing.
Like I said, there's so much stuff to cover. Like I'm like, I don't want to talk about Bigfoot. Let's stay on the haunted coal mine here. And,
Yeah. Well, the thing of it is too, in Pennsylvania, when you talk about, again, I don't know about Wisconsin, but in Pennsylvania, whenever they write a book about haunted Pennsylvania, it's always about Gettysburg and all the lost souls that are wandering the battlefields, or it's about Lancaster and the white witches and the hex signs and all this stuff, which is, I mean, the Germans came over, the Pennsylvania Germans and Pennsylvania Dutch came over with their superstitions, and Lancaster is just an epicenter of that. But when I wrote Co-Region Hoodoo, I said, wait a second, there's a lot more than just Lancaster and Gettysburg. We got our own stuff here. All these Italians and Slovaks and Ukrainians and Russians that came over with their superstitions. And the coal regions of northeastern Pennsylvania was just riddled with superstition and tales and everything else. Centralia is real close to here. Irish Catholic priest put a curse on Centralia because he put a curse. And in 1962, I believe it was, somebody set a fire in a coal mine, and it's still smoldering to this day. They burned down Centralia. There was so much heat that the roads buckled. They had to go and close it down and reroute it. And eminent domain, they had to buy out all these people that lived there in Centralia. I mean, that was a cursed town. that I go through that. It's just amazing. I think there's 5 families that live there now. They're allowed to stay there until they die, and then that'll be it. But 5 families, and just amazing. But Centralia, Sheppton, so many things in this area that are just weird. And I called it the co-region hoodoo. Hoodoo meaning either a blessing or a curse. And even with the Sheppton guys, the guys were trapped for 2 weeks. They were rescued. I mean, a wonderful story of human endeavor and human survival. But still, as soon as they were retrieved, there were all these accusations. The people wanted to know what happened to the 3rd guy. And there were allegations of cannibalism. So they went from this celebration of life to this question about what'd you do to your buddy, So that was, it was like, the blessing and the curse. So, and it didn't get any better. So, and then the one miner, and this was kind of interesting. I know we're going off topic, but Davy Fallon was 58 years old. Hank Throne was 28. So they had this symbiotic relationship there. But Fallon, who was a old-time miner, and he knew they were down there 330 feet. And he calculated how long it should have taken the rescue team to dig him out. And when he was rescued, he was pissed off. He said, "You guys should have gotten to me earlier." And so, you don't kick a gift horse in the mouth. And he became the pariah for mouthing off about this. So, I mean, like, he was very candid in what he said, but, he should have just shut up. But anyway, there were just so many stories about the Sheppton thing, but amazing paranormal story that opened up the doors to the paranormal for me. Again, that was 2016. So 9 years ago, and here I am. It was like I said, I never chose this pathway, this career track, but it's been a lot of fun. I've met a whole lot of people, and it's just just a great thing.
Awesome. Well, let's get this coal train back on track here. And
yeah, okay. This has been hijacked. Yeah,
hijacked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. So this book just came out.
Yeah.
And you take a different look at the Bigfoot phenomenon than a lot of the other authors. And you were telling me before the show started that this book is already banned.
Yeah. Lost Tribes of Bigfoot has been banned from the Bloomsburg Fair. The Bloomsburg Fair is one of the largest, maybe the largest county fair on the East Coast. If not, it's one of the top 3. But anyway, I had been a part. They invite local authors to the Bloomsburg Fair every single year, and we're allowed to go there and set up and sell books and meet the crowd. And there's thousands of people that come through there. I've been a part of this since day one. I've helped them with the promotion. I would go around and talk to the different TV and radio people and just do what I could to promote it. And this year I was disinvited, and I got a couple of different reasons why, but I'm pretty sure one of the reasons is because of the one chapter. I have a chapter called "Is Bigfoot the New Religion?" And I think I might have ruffled some feathers because I talk about some people, viewing Bigfoot as their higher power. And I think it probably ruffled some feathers with some hardcore right-wing Christians. And it wasn't my intent. But in the chapter called "Is Bigfoot our new religion?" I talk about some interesting things. For example, one of the statistics that I use, I'm a baby boomer. My group was born between 1946 to 1964. We were the idealistic group. We were the ones who protested Vietnam, and we worked towards civil rights and women's rights and planet Earth and Greenpeace and all that. We had time on our hands, and that's what we do. We thought we could make the world a better place. But according to a recent study, they compared us baby boomers with Generation Z. Now, after baby boomers, it was the Generation X, then millennials, and then Generation Z. Generation Z are those folks born after 1997, and the oldest ones are 27 years old now. So here's the rub, as Shakespeare would say. 64% of my group, the baby boomers, believed in God and organized religion. 64%. 24% of Generation Z believe in God and organized religion. So if you go with this premise, and I don't want anybody to get turned on by the word God, because I'm not preaching. This isn't church. I just want to use the word God. But if indeed we are made in the image of God, if we are godlike, if we have a spiritual side, a spiritual essence, then as human beings, we have some sort of a need to express that spirituality. So if you don't express that by going to church on Sunday, like 64% of my group did, then what do? I mean, how do you do that? So I contend that some people do that by going out into the woods looking for Sasquatch. They have their higher power, they have their shared values, they have their communion, their sacrament, all of that. The woods becomes their church. And if you don't believe me, read John Muir, the naturalist who founded the Audubon Society, and read what John Muir said about when you take a walk into the woods, you look into the face of God. Look at how John Muir talks about what the woods does for us as versus what civilization in the city does. I mean, read John Muir if you don't believe me. So it's all spiritual. It's, you know, whether you like it or not, whether that word turns you off or not. And you know what? Listen, I'm a big Rolling Stones fan. There was a double album called Exile on Main Street. Keith Richards, who's still alive and well, had a song called I Just Want to See His Face. And he was saying, don't tell me about faith. Don't tell me about this and that. I just want to see his face. Just show me that God exists. You know, so if Keith could do that, so can the Sasquatchers. And part of this thing is spiritual. It's a spiritual quest. And, it's philosophical. It's metaphysical. It's all of that. And if you're just looking at the hunt for Bigfoot as just a going out in the woods type of thing, brother, you're missing the whole point, because it's a more encompassing than that. So, that's what I talk about. So anyway, my chapter is Bigfoot, the New Religion, probably ruffled some feathers and pissed off a bunch of people. And, and I'm sure that I'm talking about the religious right, the evangelicals. So, so be it. I can't fight City Hall, and that's just the way it is. But, I don't know what I don't even know if Doug Hychek knows about that. But anyway, one of his books has been banned. So
he's going to write to the city and protest for you. How dare you ban one of our books? You sell our books in that city.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what happened there. But it's the other thing too is my wife and I are snowbirds. We're on our way back from Florida, and I decided to do this 1,800-mile trip. And we went through Alabama, went through Nashville. I mean, through the heart of Nashville. That's a whole lot of fun, 5-lane highways. Everybody's doing 85. And then got up to, let's see, we did Kentucky. I'd never been to Kentucky, but I was looking for things to do on the way. And here outside of Lexington in Williamstown is the Ark experience. So I thought, why not? Let's check out the Ark experience. And everything's built to scale, from cubit, like the end of the elbow to the finger. So they did this to scale. The Ark exhibit is allegedly the largest wooden structure in the world. It was built by the Amish, of course. They do great work, and a lot of Amish in Pennsylvania. But anyway, my wife and I walked through this thing, and in Noah's Ark, they had all the cages. They had cages for the giraffes and the horses and all this other stuff. But they also had, and get this, they had cages for T-Rexes, baby T-Rexes, and baby Stegosaurus. So I looked at my wife, and she looked at me, and I shook my head, and I said, no, that's not true. That is anti-science. It's pseudoscience. It didn't happen. And so in my book, I talk about this, and I think that ruffled some feathers too, because, we're not talking about Christians. We're talking about creationists, and they're like the foot soldiers. They're like the stormtroopers of Christianity, and they march to another beat. But the creationists say things like Noah was, 500 years old when he started to build the ark. He was 600 when the floods came. He was 500 when he sired his 5 kids. I mean, a whole bunch of stuff like that. But according to my book, I take a look at a thing called the KT event. It's the Cretaceous Tertiary Extinction Event, KT event. And this happened millions of years ago where a meteorite or an asteroid came and wiped out all the non-avian dinosaurs. They wiped them off the face of the earth. They were gone. And we know this is true because years in the 1980s, they found this crater in the Yucatan Peninsula, and they were able to find a thing called iridium. Iridium is an element they find in outer space, not in Earth. But they found this iridium exactly where they believe that the dinosaurs would have been became extinct. So the dinosaurs became extinct about and then more than 65 million years ago, and then man appeared about 300,000 years ago. So dinosaurs walked the earth, then were extinct, and then man walked the earth. Not at the same time. Man did walk the earth with Neanderthal and Homo erectus, but not with the dinosaur. And one interesting thing that I talk about is with, some people believe that when you look at the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, what exactly is Bigfoot? And some people believe that it could be Neanderthal, that Neanderthal still exists, that it is what they call the missing link. But pretty much what happened was, I contend, again, I talk about this a lot, and I preach this. I mean, there's no missing link. Man and ape, man did not come from ape, but man and ape came from a single, it's called a SCA, a single common ancestor. And the apes split and climbed the trees and successfully evolved. Sometime later, man evolved, climbed the trees, and then came down as Homo erectus and Homo sapiens. Neanderthal was there as well, and Neanderthal interbred with Homo sapiens. We believe that at least 30% of us have as much as 3% Neanderthal DNA, 3%. And what we get from that Neanderthal DNA, as far as I've been able to determine, it would be hair color, sleep patterns, and cardiac issues. So we get that from the Neanderthal, so we're somewhat related. And if you do that, 23andMe or whatever, some of those DNA testing, you could see that. The other thing too, that 3% is interesting. The other thing though too is man shares 98% of the same DNA with gorillas and chimpanzees and bonobos. 98%. You and I, Barnaby, are different than the apes. There's only 2% DNA that differentiates us from those apes, and we are closer to the apes genetically than a lot of the great apes are to themselves. So that is just an interesting, crazy thing. I mean, believe it or not, So anyway, I talk about this, and I think a lot of creationists think that by saying this is somehow anti-Bible or anti-Christian or anti-whatever, but it's not. It's science, and we have, you look at the fossil record, and you look at that, and we know that, that man is so many years old because of the fossil record, because we see this. And we know that, like, for example, that the oldest pre-human hominid is Lucy. 1974 in Ethiopia, they found Lucy, and that's like Australopithecus. And they named Lucy after Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds. And it was just interesting that they found this. This was the oldest hominid, more human-like than ape-like. And it was just amazing. A small statue, a small skeleton, but it was intact, and just amazing. They named it after Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot takes a look at all those possibilities. What could it be? I mean, if it's not Bigfoot and Sasquatch, could it be Neanderthal? Could it be Australopithecus? Could it be Gigantopithecus, which was a 12-foot high ape-looking thing that resembled an orangutan? So a lot of people believe that Neanderthal is still lurking around, or maybe Giganto is. And there's another theory. The Russian researchers have talked about the hominology, that there's unknown hominids out there. They're not human beings. They're not related to us, but they're out there. They're a separate entity that may be what we mistakenly call Yeti or Bigfoot. So again, this is hominology, and came from the Soviet and Russian researchers who were pretty much on top of this, certainly with stories of the abominable snowman Yeti and Almas. I mean, there were plenty of stories out there in the Russian mountains and also in the Himalayas. And there was a expedition Snowman where they spent $2 million and sent scientists out there into the mountains looking for the Almas, and came back empty-handed. But it's not that science has ignored this, because science has gone after it in a big way, and we've just come up with empty blanks so far. We just haven't found that body. I do want to say this. I apologize for babbling. I mean, you're not asking any questions.
That's what it's for.
But with the Sasquatch hunters, the guys that are out there looking for them, I want to say this. I mean, I sort of straddle both camps, and it's not that I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but I straddle both camps, because when you take a look at some of these guys that look for Sasquatch, they have eyewitness reports, sometimes 2 or more people that see the same thing. They have tracks that are bigger than any human or bear that we've seen, 5-toed tracks, the stride bigger than anything that a bear or a human could make. And just check out Dr. Jeff Meldrum's collection of footprints and casting and everything, and you could see what I'm talking about. They hear noises and sounds that are shrill. They tape record these. They're not birds, they're not animals. It seems to be a Sasquatch thing, like a shrill thing. And then also the smell. Pretty much there's this horrible rank smell, like either a wet dog or rotten eggs or sulfur, but pretty much the smell, the people that describe the smell, it seems to be the same thing. So, and again, Sasquatch in, I think, British Columbia, natives means smelly ape. So, after the abominable snowman and the Yeti hysteria and the tracks that we found, and then 1958, we had the tracks, and we had the Humboldt Times that wrote about Bigfoot for the first time. 1958, first time that the term Bigfoot appeared in the American lexicon, and we knew of this thing. And then 1958 seemed to be the starting point for all of this. So, and then 1967, the Patterson-Gimlin film, which is the holy grail, for all of this. So there are, I think there's proof, but not proof that would be accepted by the scientific community. But it's what J. Allen Hynek called high strangeness. And you have one thing, you have eyewitness reports, and that's high strangeness. But when you have the 2, 3, or 4 examples, 2, 3, or 4 elements, then this becomes different elements of high strangeness that you cannot discount or ignore. There's something there. What it is, you tell me. I don't know, but there's something there. And so I think we both approach this in different ways. And my premise is, to get back to your question from 15 minutes ago, if it's not flesh and blood, then what is it? And I look at the interdimensional theories, mass hallucinations. I look at Jung's collective unconscious. I mean, these are all wonderful, juicy, fascinating theories that I think really at some point are going to go and provide us with the truth. That's what I think is going to happen. And this is where a lot of the exploration and investigation is right now. So it's just exciting stuff.
I was going to say, with your title, The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, is kind of a leading title. Are you is there anything implied by that? Like, do you think that these things are like a tribe of Native Americans or a tribe of Native peoples? Or do you think that they're more, like animalistic? Is there an intelligence of, I hate to say like human intelligence, because every animal is smart in its own way. Even plants communicate, and so much of this stuff. But what is implied by the title?
Yeah. Okay. Well, two things. One, yeah, I agree. I think that Bigfoot travel in tribes. I think they're more humanoid than more human-like than ape-like. I think they're more. They have more psychic abilities than we do. I think we have more cognitive abilities than they do, but I think that they have uh, psychic abilities that we can't even begin to understand. Uh, as far as the metaphor, I think the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot is that metaphor that if they're not flesh and blood, what are they? Well, they could be. It could be Bigfoot. It could be Neanderthal. It could be Gigantopithecus. It could be the hominology. The unknown, undiscovered. Hominids that are not human, but there's something else. So again, we don't know, but there's plenty of suggestions and plenty of theories, and that's what those tribes are all about. So, but I'll tell you, when I'm on these podcasts, they always ask me, what would you do if you saw a Bigfoot? I don't know. I think I'd go crazy. And what do you suppose Bigfoot does all day? And I think they probably do things like we do, as well as I think they shape shift in between dimensions or parallel universes. And it was Rosemary Ellen Guiley that talked about the bilocation. You see one in front of you and then they're behind you. They called about that. She talked about that rapid transport. And Rosemary Ellen Guiley said that Bigfoot could transport from the material and tangible to the intangible. So again, this is what we have. This is our hypothesis. So given that, as scientists using the scientific method, you come up with a hypothesis, and i.e. Bigfoot has psychic abilities and this is what they do. And so I put it out there and I outline it and define it. And then it's up to guys like you, Barnaby Jones from Wisconsin, to say, yes, I agree, or no, I don't. And by doing this, by talking about this, maybe we come a little bit closer to the truth, until we find out exactly what it is. Because again, don't discount any, well, your listeners aren't, but don't discount any of this, because people see things. And I want to go back to Dr. J. Allen Hynek. He was a skeptic. He was one of the premier ufologists. He was with the government's Project Blue Book, Sign, and Grunge. He was with all those efforts to try to define what flying saucers were. And he was very skeptical. And towards the end, he realized, wait a second, the scientific community is being disrespectful to these people that see things. Instead of saying, yeah, Barnaby, I see, okay, you've seen these orbs and you want to figure out what they are and everything. Instead of doing that, they would castigate and these people that had seen things and say that they were hallucinating, or they were mentally ill or needy, or they were saying swamp gas, reflections off of Venus, whatever, ducks. So towards the end, J. Allen Hynek got it right. He was convinced that a certain percentage of these people that see things were actually seeing things that we could not define. And even when you look at UFOs or UAPs, 3% of them we can't identify. They're either ours, or maybe they're stealth technology from Russia or China or Iran, or they're from someplace else. And that someplace else could be extraterrestrial or interdimensional, or I don't know. But 3% with a real big question mark. And again, 3%, that would be a great name of your next show or my next book, 3%, with that, or 2% for the 2% DNA, that we have different DNA than the apes. So we could either write a book about that called 3% or a book called the 2%. But either way, we're in the right neck of the woods there. So anyway, just crazy stuff, but the stuff that can't be denied. And I want to say this, with the 1967 Patterson Gimlin film, which is our Bigfoot's holy grail, has not been nobody has ever been able to go and say that it wasn't true. I mean, it's withstands a lot of scientific scrutiny. But the Patterson-Gimlin film of 1967 is equivalent to the United States Navy Tic Tac video of 2004 that they shot outside of San Diego. And here's this saucer, this UAP that zigzagged, real extreme G-forces that no human being could withstand. It hovered, and then it went under the water. And the Pentagon, that was calling these unidentified aerial phenomenon, started to toy around with the nomenclature unidentified anomalous phenomenon, just to to include that underwater thing. So there's things out there that are just so fascinating and unexplainable. We could describe them, but we can't explain what they are. But in the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, I take a look at all these things and try to figure out, what is it? I mean, what have we discovered so far, and who's looking at what? And there's been a lot of researchers and scientists like Jeff Meldrum that takes a look at Gigantopithecus and believes that may be one of the keys. So, and John, there's a lot of theories out there, and they're all pretty exciting, and they're leading the way.
Guys, we are live here. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the comments section and we'll get to them as soon as we can. We got a couple comments here. Lee, good to have you back. I haven't seen you on the show lately. This is going back to the Lucy comment that you made earlier. She says, I remember watching Dick Cavett's show and they only found 2 pieces of the skull for Lucy, not an intact skeleton. Dick Cavett was like, what are those 2 dark spots on the back of the skull? And they said that's the actual fragments. And you talked about like Gigantopithecus too, which I've always had a problem with that, because like literally the only thing that we got from Gigantopithecus is part of the jaw and a tooth. And they're making all these assumptions and stuff about these skeletons. Do you have any comments about that at all? Yeah,
first of all, Giganto, you're right. They don't have a complete skeleton of Giganto. They have teeth, and I think the majority of their conjecture is based on the teeth, not a full skeleton. But they believe that it was something like 12 foot tall, that it came over the Bering Strait when the continents were together, and so Giganto came from Asia and went up into North America. So that's the belief, the theory, and Gigantopithecus is who a lot of Bigfoot researchers believe is the key. The other thing, Lucy was discovered in 1974. And the one thing that's interesting about Lucy was that John Napier was taking a look at the Patterson-Gimlin film, and he said that the Patterson-Gimlin film had to be a hoax because the upper part of Patty was ape-like, and the bottom part was hominid. It was more bipedal, and so he said it had to be a fake. Well, in 1974, when they found Lucy, that Australopithecus, Lucy had an upper body that was ape-like and a bottom portion that was more hominid, bipedal. And they did find, I'm pretty sure, if my recollection is correct, that they found pretty much an intact species. It was just out there. They saw some things. They were taking another way. They were either walking or driving their Range Rover, and they were getting back to their camp. They were taking another way, and there it was out there in the dunes, and I believe it was Ethiopia, just standing out there. They found it, and so they dug it up, and there it was. It was the relics of the oldest hominid that we've ever found, and that was Lucy. And now I believe that it was intact. But after this podcast, I'm going to go and check my notes, but I'm pretty sure that it was. But Lucy, what they found with Lucy was different than Giganto. You're correct. Giganto was pretty much teeth, and I don't know what else.
Looks like they found most of the skeleton, not a complete one, according to what's online here.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. Okay,
yeah,
good. Okay,
it's most of the skeleton, if you see here on the screen. But
and then with finding that they're able to go and put 2 and 2 together and say, okay, well, this was so big. With Giganto, they said it was 12 foot. With Lucy, I think they said it was 3.5 foot. It was in female. So I think that's what they.
I think it's at 4'9" is what I just saw.
4'9". Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I closed the screen. I'm sorry.
Okay. Tomatoes. Close enough. Come on.
Close enough. Yeah.
My head is filled with too many numbers. Come on, I can't.
I hear you. Yeah, I know a lot of things, but the fact is to go through and actually give you exact dates, times, and stuff like that, man, I can't do that.
Well,
I can tell
this
you
is
general
this is good though. But I'm glad that they brought up about Giganto and Lucy. What did they find, and how did they come to the the conjecture that they the one was 12 foot and one was 4.5? So that's good stuff. And again, as cryptozoologists, as amateur cryptozoologists, we need to go and look at this anthropology and the fossil record and all that. We need to educate ourselves and know about this stuff and discuss it. I mean, come on, we're like citizen scientists. That's what we do.
Lee says she was 7 when she saw it, so she didn't remember correctly. So
Okay.
there we go. We've come full circle on that. So awesome. Lee had another. We're gonna go back to this one because it's the only other question I got right now. But Lee had a question regarding bath salts. It was something that you said right in the beginning there. Do you want to? And I'm kind of curious on this too. Like, how are people using bath salts as like drugs? Like, what is going on there?
Okay. Did we talk about this in the beginning?
A very beginning, yeah. This was like the first 5 minutes of the show.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm a former drug and alcohol counselor, psychologist, and I was in charge of this program where I dealt with people that were psychotic and they were using drugs. And at the time, I was really up on these emerging drugs of abuse, like I said, like ecstasy and bath salts. The interesting thing about bath salts is it promised you this wonderful, glorious high. Many times, drugs like Molly or bath salts, synthetic cannabinoids or whatever, would make you psychotic. Here's the rub, and here's how this fits in. I talk a lot about Chestnut Ridge. That's the western part of Pennsylvania that has all the Bigfoot and UFO sightings. There's another part in Pennsylvania called the Wisner State Forest, which is our equivalent. Plenty of Bigfoot sightings, footprints, UFOs, orbs, the yellow plasma floating. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. What happened was around 2011, a state trooper took bath salts, went into the Wisner State Forest, and bath salts make you overheat your body. It just rips you up. They found him dead of hypothermia and naked. He took all of his clothes off. So that was in the Weiser State Park in eastern Pennsylvania. The same thing happened out in western Pennsylvania. I believe it was in Cook County. 2 law enforcement guys shot up with the bath salts, took a walk in the woods. And again, you are so superheated that you and psychotic that you take your clothes off. And they found these 2 dudes dead of hypothermia. Again, 2 in western Pennsylvania, 1 in eastern Pennsylvania, all 3 law enforcement guys. Go figure. I mean, that's a weird freaking coincidence. So I'm going to be in Catawissa tomorrow doing a presentation on Bigfoot. And this is like in the heartland of Wisner State Forest, where everybody has a story to tell about seeing Bigfoot. I mean, just amazing. Just that forest encompasses, I think it's 7 different counties. So that's how bath salts come in. But
so Lee would like to know are you talking bath salts like real bath salts like you put in a bath, or is it a street name for some other drug?
Yeah, it's a street name. They call it monkey dust, and it's a drug to make you high and make you feel euphoric. And on a good day, it's going to make you psychotic. Not the nice bath salts with lavender and that they throw in, the bathtub to make it feel good and to moisturize your skin. We are just too square to be up in that slang.
Yeah.
No, but bath salts have come and gone, so they used to be
common bath salts and even potpourri were soaked in chemicals that you smoke or reconstitute and use. People did not last that long using this.
Yeah, don't do that crap. I mean, my advice to you, don't do drugs. I mean, come on,
let's put a disclaimer up here. Do not try any of the bath salts, potpourri, or other chemicals at home. We are not encouraging the use of.
And at the time when in 2011, bath salts were still legal. You could still buy those in gas stations, and then they were in like these nice little tins, and it would have a little disclaimer, not for human consumption, but that was a disclaimer. And then people started to die, and they got rid of them. But all these chemicals were coming over from China or Pakistan or India, and like fentanyl. Fentanyl comes over from China and all those places. Really hard to get rid of.
Wow.
So the questions are waning. There's
The questions went down a weird coal train again over there.
Leah, I'm going to ask you some questions, or who else is out there?
So about these bath salts, Lee says.
Yeah. But anyway, that was an interesting parallel. And the one guy that is putting together this Bigfoot event tomorrow in Catawissa, Pennsylvania, he is a judge, a county judge, and he was law enforcement. And one of the stories he told was, it was 11:30 at night. He gets a call from this older guy, and the guy was taking his dog out for to take a leak, and the guy saw this 9-foot creature, and he was just scared out of his wits. So he called my friend, and he reported that. But this guy Craig Long has numerous accounts like that of people seeing creatures, tall creatures that typically they're not ferocious. They don't attack and assault. They pretty much run away. And in most, or if not all, Bigfoot sightings, Bigfoot runs away. Bigfoot pretty much doesn't charge us. Or if we charge Bigfoot with a shotgun, we shoot it and it goes away. It doesn't, either it turns into like light and scatters, or it just goes away and the gunshot doesn't hurt them. So again, what's that all about if it's not paranormal? They talk about Bigfoot emitting light, not reflecting light. They talk about Bigfoot gliding, not walking. They talk about Bigfoot communicating telepathically. The bilocation. I mean, there's too many things reported about Bigfoot that makes me think there's a paranormal connection, and it's hard to dispute that.
We are talking live here. If you have any last minute questions, we're coming up on the end of the show for Maxim. Get them in the comments section. We'll get them in the show before we go. We got in the show notes links to purchase your book as well as your website for anybody interested. Those are in the show notes. Go ahead and check those out. We were talking also that these things have these abilities, right? You were just talking about that. And when our team CAPS, Cryptids, Anomalies, Paranormal Society, we do everything because in order to look at one aspect of something, you have to look at it from all angles, as you have in your book.
Yeah.
And when you do this, you hear a lot of stories about when people are born, they can see things, they can communicate with invisible people or invisible friends, stuff like that. And we lose those abilities. And earlier you were kind of talking about how, these Bigfoot creatures and stuff have these abilities to communicate or bilocate and stuff. And who's to say that humans and these Bigfoot have the exact same abilities? It's just that through time now, as we've grown older, people say, well, you don't have an invisible friend, that's nothing forget it. And we just forget to use it. Like you're an older generation, and I'm right on the edge of that generation where we had to memorize phone numbers. I had to use a map growing up, and nowadays, I'm wondering how many people actually have like more than like 5, maybe not even that, phone numbers memorized. It's just something you don't have. So here's looking at our whole species and saying, well, Bigfoot's so, paranormal and metaphysical and stuff. He's interdimensional, whatever he is. Maybe he's not. Maybe we're the ones that are so detached that, we've pulled so far into ourselves with our technologies and fire and all the stuff that we have, buildings and houses, that we just ignore these abilities, that we have all the same abilities to bilocate and, interdimensional travel and stuff. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's awesome. John Muir was one who said that civilization keeps us from progressing. And I think that if you could wipe away all that civilization and technology and all the noise, and maybe raise your vibration and your level of consciousness. Just maybe we could reach that point where we have these abilities as well. I think that we all have them. You know, they always give women credit for having that sixth sense, that ability to read auras and all that. Maybe because they're moms, they have to be more attuned. Maybe that's it. But I think all of us do. I think we have gifts, but again, because of the layers of technology and civilization that's buried underneath all of the white noise. I think it takes a lot of work to reach that point, to harvest that. I think very few of us can do that. I think in order to tap into those energies, those abilities, you have to devote yourself to that. And it's almost like a 9-to-5 job. It's almost like, I'll give you an example. I do a presentation called Catholic Mysticism, and I talked about Catholic mystics and saints. And Saint Teresa of Avila, 17th century Spanish mystic, she believed that through prayer and meditation, we could actually go through states of rapture, ecstasy, and flight of the soul, which is an out-of-body experience. And she was amazing. I mean, what she did, but she believed it was through prayer and meditation that was the gateway to these things. That sort of makes sense. I mean, how else would you get to that point? You know, I mean, not, you know, so not by listening to Keith Richards and the Stones. I just want to see his face, but by meditating and, you know, getting into that. So yeah, that's a whole nother, you know, 60 minutes of talk. How do you reach that point where we could tap into our energies and our aura and all that? You know, that's but some people have, and some people have that ability. They can, you know, they can read auras and they could read us, and you know, and see things like Bigfoot. You know, I think some people have that ability already, and I don't. I wish I had it. You know, I'm probably not worthy. You know, so.
I think that's another whole key aspect of this. We talk about how some people have one experience and then they have more and more and more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, when you have that first experience, it opens that part of your mind back up and says, oh man, if that's real, what else is?
Yeah.
And it kind of opens that little window in your brain to be open to seeing all this stuff. And then it starts to become visible again for you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting stuff. I wish we had answers. But you know, the thing of it is, it's good to talk about this and to give it some kind of parameters and definition. So by talking about Bigfoot and that, at least it's from here to here. So just figure out what that represents. And I think that's what we're trying to do, what we need to do.
I love Lee's comment here. Phone numbers have been replaced by passwords.
Yeah.
We don't have to remember phone numbers. Now we have a million passwords to remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, do you have any events? Are you going to be speaking anywhere? Do you have anything, other shows that you're going to be on? Anything that you'd like to promote and let everybody know where they can find you and tune in?
Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to be on, I have a ton of podcasts, you know, in the next 3-4 weeks. But like I said, we're going to be in Catawissa, Pennsylvania tomorrow. We're going to be in, I think, what is this? Ringtown, Pennsylvania on Saturday. And then we may be doing a Bigfoot thing in the Wilkes-Barre area later on this month. We're putting that together. But the Bigfoot, the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot is available on Hangar One or Amazon.com. Or if you're interested in a autographed copy, I'd be glad to go and hook you up. And my website is www.maximfurek.com. So www.maximfurek.com. And you could check out some of my other books, you know, Coleridge Hoodoo, and also Flying Saucer Esoteric. So, you know, I have a number of books there. Well, they're in the background. You could see that. You know, and take a look at some of the other titles from Hangar One. They just do a wonderful job with cryptids and UFOs, and just love working for Hangar One and the Untold Radio Network. So,
well, thank you so much, man. Like I said, the links to your website and the book are in the show notes. For anyone that didn't get that, just check it out, click on it, and it'll take you right to it, man. So All right. It has been a pleasure having you on. And I look forward to, we were talking about having you on my other show to talk all about paranormal and more coal mine stuff. So we'll get that all set up. And I think that's going to be a great show as well.
Okay. Barnaby, thanks so much. I really appreciate that. And boy, I wish I was hanging out in Wisconsin. I'd be going to all those paranormal expos. That sounds great. Please give my best to Dr. Dean Bertram. He's a wonderful guy. He is doing so much to further, the parameters of the paranormal. I mean, he's really one of our pioneers. So he's a great guy.
Absolutely. Yep. Again, he'll be at the Milwaukee Paracon on the 19th with me in Wisconsin. Free tickets. Come out and check it out. So,
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. I will talk to you later and hopefully have you again back on again soon.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. Take care.
Take care, man. All right, guys, that is our show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Coming up on Thursday, we have Miranda Young, the paranormal biker chick. She is going to be talking about all kinds of cool places that she goes on her motorcycle road trips across the country, and that's going to be really cool. So that is coming up next week. And I think next Monday is going to be, Allison Jorlin is going to be joining us, and she's going to be talking about fairy lore and stuff. So that's going to be cool. Before we go here, guys, I want to leave you with a little bit about Hangar One Publishing.
Hangar One Publishing. Books that explore the unknown.
They're after my story.
Legends leap off the pages of our books.
You think you're the only one? They're under my heels too.
From UFOs to cryptids, Bigfoot and beyond.
Who's behind all this?
Hangar One Publishing, where every legend is revealed.
It's Hangar One Publishing. They're unraveling all of our mysteries.
Dive in. Real videos, sights and sounds with our immersive book technology.
I guess our secrets are out now. But in the best possible way.
From Bigfoot tracks to galactic trails, we cover it all.
We should get out of here before it's too late. You're right, let's plan.
Escaping reality? Dive into ours. Hangar One Publishing, revealing the universe's best-kept secrets, one book at a time.
And that's our show for this week, guys. Make sure you head on over to Hangar One Publishing. Check out Maxim book. All links are in the show notes. Until next time, guys, I'll see you on the edge.